Okay, so I program games for a living, and I'm a huge fan of Overwatch. So when I heard that Overwatch was adding mod support via a custom scripting language, I was so excited. Until I fucking tried it. Okay, so let's see what the scripting language is all about. Where is it? Oh, here! What the fuck? Oh god. What is this mess? Drop downs? This is horrible. So instead of taking the standard approach and just letting us edit a text file, we have to dick around with these shithole dropdowns. This is stupid for so many reasons. First off, these things are impossible to read. Just look at this. It's a fucking mess. You can't tell what this says at all. Secondly, it's extremely easy to lose work unless you know exactly what you want to write ahead of time. For example, let's say that you need to write out a long series of operations in a single code block. Then you realize, oh crap, I need to multiply this end result by 5 for some reason. In, a normal programming language, in normal code, you just type ×5 and you're done. But because of this fucking drop-down system, when you change a parent, you lose the values of all the children, which essentially just deletes a large portion of your code whenever you want to change something that's above it. Now, this wouldn't be so bad if you could copy and paste these code blocks, but you can't. Now, before you fucking god-tier Overwatch workshop programmers come at me, I'm not talking about this copy-paste. I'm talking about copying and pasting when you were inside a code block. You can't do that. Okay, I finally figured out how to use this stupid system. I can finally make my epic role-playing adventure with 10,000 lines of custom dialogue and, diva side quest, all that shit. What? You can't write your own custom text. You have to mix and match their preset text, which doesn't contain any common words like a or to or by or the, and instead contains such useful words as flown and optimizing and my mistake. To be clear, they don't have my by itself. They only have my mistake. I don't know why my itself isn't in there. I don't know why the isn't in there. Well, on the other hand, Jeff says that the best poetry is created within limitations.
I feel like the most creative people work creatively within constraints. Shakespeare, one of the greatest writers of all time, wrote beautiful sonnets.
Using the workshop string builder.
Preventing people from creating custom strings is probably mostly to prevent people from creating custom Nazi versus Jews game or something like that. But this makes no sense, considering people can and frequently do just say whatever vulgar shit they want in chat. I don't understand why, people can say whatever they want in chat, but in the custom game editor, oh no, it has to be pure. Also, instead of having a nice menu for constructing long strings, you have to chain together these string interpolators, which are just awful to use. Okay, so the strings suck, but let's take a look at the variables. A variable is just a name which references data, so this should be pretty hard to fuck up. So for whatever godforsaken reason, the variables are named A through Z, and you can't rename them.
What?
Something often joked about by the Mensa candidates over on R Programmer Humor is how bad short, non-descriptive variable names are. And Overwatch forces you to use short, non-descriptive variable names. You literally have to use A, B, and C all over your program and just remember what letter is storing what data. And there aren't even comments. In any reasonable programming language, you can write little notes to yourself to, remind yourself what the fuck A is.
What are we talking about here?
Okay, so a loop is just a bit of code that you can repeat an arbitrary number of times and then exit. Loops are great for running through arrays, which an array is basically just like a list of data. So loops are great, but they have a small problem. If you set up a loop incorrectly, it can loop forever, and when this happens, the program crashes. And because of something called the halting problem, you can't always determine if a loop will finish or if it will run forever. So because of this, Overwatch has a system for preventing infinite loops, where they force you to wait at least 250 milliseconds between each cycle of the loop. And you know what? I'm okay with that. That's fine. I have no problem with that. That solves this halting problem issue. It prevents bugs. Fine. That was a decent solution, I think. So, good job or whatever. What I'm not okay with is the lack of a for each loop that doesn't force you to wait. A for each loop is a special kind of loop that does a cycle for each item in the list. This is super useful if you wanted to, add up all the values in a list or something. And what's great about a for each loop is it won't ever infinitely loop because you aren't allowed to add or remove items while you're in the loop. But despite the fact that a for each cannot possibly create an infinite loop, the workshop still doesn't have a for each function. Because loops can only repeat at 4 FPS, to get nice smooth movement, you essentially have to take advantage of something called reevaluation. Reevaluation basically reruns a particular piece of code regardless of where you are in your program whenever a particular field changes. So for example, if you're drawing a sphere at position player variable A, and then somewhere else player variable A changes, the sphere's position will update. This is great because when used in combination with the chase function, you can smoothly interpolate between 2 points, and reevaluations will make sure everything smoothly adjusts. What is not so great is that the chase function can only be used with individual variables, not items within arrays. So values within arrays can be updated at most at 4 FPS. Great, awesome. Okay, in conclusion, there's a few things we need. Let us rename variables. Let us create custom strings. Let us use for each over arrays. Let us chase items that are inside arrays. And for the love of God, let us copy and paste code segments. Jesus Christ.